Muito obrigado, Dr. Isaltinho Moraes, Professor Eduardo Batista Correa, Francisco Rocha Gonçalves, meu bom amigo Antonio Mateus, Mr. Nuno Delgado, and Chloe Wuga. It's a great pleasure and honor for me to be here today. It is also a very humbling experience because I always feel overwhelmed to be in any way kind of representing the giant figure that Mandela was and still is to many of us. Just to give you an idea, I mean, most of you, and unfortunately, my Portuguese is not good enough to have understood very much what was said, except that my ears got very hot when Antonio was speaking. So I imagine he said all kinds of things that you shouldn't know. But to just get across the experience, and I think he told the story of the handshake, yeah? No, he didn't. Okay. Well,
I left it for you.
The first time I had to host Mandela was when I was the chairman of the Foreign Correspondents Association, and that's where Antonio and I first met as correspondents in South Africa. I had to sit obviously next to him at the table. There were tables of 10 and several hundred people. And it was a hugely intimidating experience because suddenly you're sitting next to both an extraordinary man, but also the myth that was built up around him. And so you are trying to work out, am I interacting with Mandela the man, Mandela the private man inside that existed but one didn't often see, and Mandela the icon that had been built up during his 27 years in prison to be the great liberator of South Africa. And I discovered on that occasion and on many subsequent occasions that he would always go out of his way to put one at one's ease. So for instance, when my wife Denise and I met him at the home of a very wealthy industrialist who had made his home available to Mandela to edit the proofs of his biography, Long Walk to Freedom. When we were at that occasion, Mandela would, when I took him, my wife to introduce him, his first question was, "Oh, hello Denise, how did he propose to you?" So you're completely kind of taken aback because you're in the presence of this great man, and he'll say something about you. He'll say how the children, or and he immediately puts you at your ease because the underlying essence of Mandela, which one tries to capture for posterity, so people who didn't know him personally can actually learn from his life, is that his essence was that he interacted with you, the person he was talking to, as though you were the only person in the world. He would seek out your common humanity and he would draw out your humanity. And he would inspire people, whatever walk of life they were in, that they actually, however ordinary they might seem, could be great people. They had greatness inside them. All they had to do was to find and bring it out. So when young people, for instance, when I took my daughter to meet him, when he signed the book like he did for Tony, he would say, "Dear Anna, you are going to be a great leader, during your life," and so forth. And imagine what that does to a 16 or 17-year-old girl. She's getting this message. And therefore, everybody I know who met Mandela personally, and many people who didn't meet him personally, but actually just learned from his life example, their lives changed dramatically, fundamentally. They ended up doing things they would never have done if they'd not met Mandela. And why was that? Because Mandela was able to connect directly with their humanity, with the person inside who he could then, just by his example and inspiration, convince that, of course you can do that, you can do that. You can do whatever you want to because it's inside you. And that was really, for me, the essence of Mandela. The fundamental contradiction of Mandela was that he went to jail for 27 years and he came out, not as many people would be, either damaged or resentful or whatever. He spent that 27 years to go inside himself. He went through every single thing that had happened in his life. And he spoke about this. I did about a dozen interviews with him during a 9-year period. And he would often speak about people who he had not fully acknowledged, or he had tended to dismiss them, or he even got angry with them. And when he came out of prison, he went back to every one of those people and to reconcile. So because he reconciled the contradictions in himself, and because he dealt with his own issues, which we all have to deal with, we've all got issues that we have to deal with, and when we're dealing with our issues, we are not concentrating fully on the person in front of us or on the task at hand. Mandela knew exactly what his task was, right from the beginning, and that was to liberate South Africa. And he knew that in order to do that, he had to be free of resentment, free of hatred. Not so much because it was the right thing to do or the Christian thing to do, but because he knew that in order to achieve his goal, that would get in the way. So people were hugely struck by his lack of bitterness, given the life that he had in prison, his lack of bitterness and his overwhelming ability to inspire others and make the world a better place, because he made himself a better place. And he said that in one of the interviews at this same event, at this wealthy industrialist, a lot of wealthy business people in